to see it before it is. So you have to see it inside of you, in your heart and in your mind. You have to begin to see it for yourself. And then you have to do the things. You have to take the actions. And that's what solidifies this dream and builds it's a process. It's a process. And so you build and you continue to build that flame, build that fire. And so I continued to go through the physical therapy, and I was working, of course. And one day I'm working at a furniture. I was selling furniture. And I heard some old timers, and to me, they were probably my age now, mid-40s, right? But I called them old timers, right? I was in my early 20s then. And I'm looking at these guys who in my mind are old timers, who I'm probably older than now. And I hear these guys talking about, yeah, in high school I used to wrestle, or I used to do that or this, right? They used to do all these things and what they could have been and should have been. And I'm just thinking, man, these guys are reminiscing about what they could have been, what they should have been. And I just said to myself, Steve, you need to find out. You know, you've been building this dream that you want to come back to the ring. And I remembered back when I was 17, I met a guy at the Olympic Training Center, a guy named Jeffrey Clark. And I was in the Eastern Olympic Trials, and I had lost in the tournament. I went pretty far into the tournament, but anyway, I had lost, and so now I'm just hanging out in the day room. I'm shooting pool. This guy actually won it. I think that same year he was Olympic alternate. I know he was the Olympic alternate the next Olympics as well. But he's shooting pool with me. And he's like, hey kid, you're kind of young, you know. He said, what are you going to do? You know, what are your plans? And I told him, you know, I was only 17. I was the youngest one in the tournament. You had to be 17 to be in it. I turned 17 a couple weeks before. And he said, what are you going to do? I said, well, I'm going to just go home and probably just turn pro. You know, and he's like, turn pro? He's like, man, you're young. He's like, you should stick around for this next Olympics. And I remember this conversation, and the guy told me, he said, yeah, he said, I just box for the Army, and I get paid. And I just thought, wow, I remember that being pretty cool, but I thought, man, being in the Army, that's not cool. And so I didn't want any parts of that. I didn't want to pursue that. But now here I am in my early 20s, and I'm supporting myself. I'm living on my own. And I'm thinking, man, I need a way to be able to train full time. So how can I? Remember, you have to ask yourself questions. And so I said, how can I focus on training and still provide for myself? And I remembered that conversation that I had many years before when I met Jeffrey Clark about telling me about the Army World Class Athlete Program. And I thought, you know what? If I can just get in front of those coaches, if I can just get in front of them and spar with one of their guys, they're going to take me on the team. Because I still felt confident in my ability to box, even though physically I wasn't in the shape yet to box. And so I said, man, if I can get there, I'll make the team. And so that quick, once again, we flipped the switch. The switch was flipped. And I walked into an Army recruiting station, and I told them my mission. I said, look, I don't care where I go. I don't care what job. I don't care about the training, all that. I'll do whatever I need to do. All I want you to do is promise me that I can get assignment at Fort Bragg, because see, at that time, that's where the boxing program was at, Fort Bragg. And so I felt like if I could just get in front of those coaches, I would be able to make that team. And so anyway, the recruiters were probably looking at me like I'm crazy, right? I hadn't fought in years. And they're like, well, we have this thing called guaranteed first destination. You sign up, we guarantee your first assignment. After that, the Army owns you. They're sending you wherever they want. But we promise, the Army's going to promise, they'll send you to this first assignment, which was Fort Bragg. And so I'm like, deal, let's do it. And they're like, what job do you want? I said, I don't care. I don't care what job it is. I just want to get in there. I'm going to box. And they're probably thinking like, yeah, right, kid. You know, there's some tough guys in there. So anyway, I get in there, and going through basic was a process. I got tested. Once again, as you go through and build your dream, you're going to get tested. And I remember we had the last road march. We had the big rucksacks on. I don't know how much they weighed, 60, 70, 80 pounds. There was a lot of weight in there. And we're walking so many miles. I don't know if it was 5 miles, but it was a lot of, it was many miles, several miles. And a lot of people are bailing out. Like they get onto the truck and they fail this march. They get held back from basic. They don't graduate basic training with everybody who makes it. And I'm like wanting to cash out in like, because my leg was cramping up. I had a big knot. I always had that knot on my leg for years. And so it was really cramping up. And I'm just like, man, I can't do it. That the doubts and fears, you know, were creeping up, and my body was just shutting down, and I was ready to give up. But that belief was still inside, and I held on to the belief. And when you're going through whatever you're going through, you need to hold on to your belief. And so I held on to mine,